Sarah, we are back.
Like,
Good crack, man. How you doing? How's your energy?
my energy is great.
You know, this potting's about faking more energy. We gotta have more energy so that people are entertained. Daddy needs some content.
Woo! I don't have to fake it. I'm energized and I'm ready and I'm excited to be here.
All right. Guys, thank you so much for watching our podcast, the DTF podcast. It's like our favorite thing to do. We've been experimenting on a lot of different formats, and today we have a new one, right? Or have we done this format? We have it. We've done this one.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Dirtying the Frame, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, Sarah Stouffer. Asaad Saleh was just trying to take over my podcast, but here we are. I'm the star.
So sorry, Sarah.
No, today we are talking about our top 5 movie villains of all time. Now, I will preface this with, I haven't seen every movie, guys.
I think the people know that by now.
True. Fair point. Point taken. I haven't seen every movie, and I certainly haven't seen a ton of horror, thriller, scary vibe movies. But these are my top 5 Disney villains from the movies that I've seen. Disney. Why did I say Disney?
Villains? Oh, okay. I was about to say maybe I got CC'd on the wrong.
We got the wrong email. No, one of them is perhaps a Disney, and I just spoiled it. I was really thinking about that one. It's our top 5 movie villains of all time, and I'm excited to be here, and we are excited to talk about it. I'm sure you'll have lots of other villains to add in the chat, which I'm excited also to read about.
This has been a requested pod.
Uh-oh.
People want to talk about the villains. People think some villains are right. Some people think some villains are not even villains. Very popular, and I, especially with the emergence of superhero movies. Have you heard of those, Sarah?
I was being a villain. How'd I do?
That was good. Really good.
Yes, I've heard of.
Yeah, a lot of people think
Hey, Asaad, you're on the TV. I could see that when you said that was bad.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
A lot of people think now, especially with superhero films, your film is only good as your villain.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, you can't actually see what a superhero or a protagonist is made of until they have someone that's equally as dangerous as they are good. You know, so these are not all superhero films, I assume. Mine aren't. But if I wanted to ask you before we start going, if there was a villain of the world, who is it?
A villain of the world?
Yeah. Right now.
It's me.
Hi.
I'm the problem, it's me. Hopefully that was so out of tune that we won't get flagged. We all have I think capitalism might be the villain of the world.
A faceless villain.
And you always say like, oh, I'm surprised you answered that seriously. So let me say a joke. General Mills.
Thank you for doing a joke. I appreciated that.
Big Cereal is the villain.
Big Cereal. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for placating me.
Okay.
You want to start with?
Yes, I'd like to start.
Runner up.
So, if you will switch to me, please.
Yes. I'm sorry.
He's very unfocused today. Just kidding. We love you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for providing the space. I would like to say, for those of you who have not watched these podcasts before and who aren't familiar with the format, we'll each list our top 5 worst or best villains in films of all time, and then we'll try to come up with a cohesive top 5 list for you. One list to rule them all. So we'll start with our runners up. I have 5 runners up. Asaad only has 2. We still have to get that nailed down, but because I have 5.
Wait, you have 5?
I'm gonna go ahead and start with my runners up, and then he'll join us when we get to the top 2.
Let's do it.
My number 10 runner up. So almost made the list, but not quite almost. Thanos. Wait, is he on your list at all? I don't know if he's upset because he's so low on my list or because he's on my list at all. Is it because he's so low on my...
Thanos is 10, Sarah?
Didn't survive the snap. Let me make my
Swimmers,
point.
thanks for tuning in. That was the DTF podcast. Have a good night.
Does anyone know why he's so upset?
We're in the process of finding a new host. I will say it's tough out there. Everyone has a podcast. It's almost like we're the ones late to the party. But we need someone as bubbly as Sarah. We need someone as smart as Sarah.
That won't be hard to find.
But we also need someone that knows they're fucking villains. Thanos isn't number 10, unless the top 9 are other Thanoses.
What number is he? I don't know what you're saying. Why are you mad?
Okay, sorry, go ahead. Cook food. I'm sorry, I'll be quiet.
Is he on your list?
I can't say.
If he's on your list, we have to say.
He's number 5 on my list.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
you ranked him pretty low, too.
Okay.
Let me argue my point.
Please.
He's monomaniacal.
Okay.
He has a lot of power.
Okay.
However, I cannot be afraid of a CGI purple thumb wearing fucking Birkenstocks. Riddle me that, Riddler.
You can't be afraid of him?
Are we afraid of this man who's like gardening? He's a purple thumb. He doesn't even look scary. Okay, so Asaad has put him on his list, and the rules of the game say that Asaad has to let me know that he's on his list.
I thought we didn't do it when they're honorable mentions, but it's okay. We keep revising this list. But yes, Thanos is my number 5.
So sorry that you had such a shit list. Okay, moving on to number 9. I just spat so much on my computer. Let's see the reaction for this guy. President Snow from the Hunger Games. Villain.
Oh,
Asaad's reaction?
He wasn't even that. He was an old man. You could blow on him and he would like fall over and die. He's like Joe Biden. You could punch assassinate him like Shane Gillis says.
May I ask you?
President Snow. I think actual Snow is more of a villain than President Snow. You have to scoop your driveway.
May I?
President Snow is
You have to
97
what?
years old.
Scoop it?
Yes, President Snow accidentally pees himself. President Snow gets Centrum Silver for District 12 at a discounted rate.
How many old men you blowing on, Asaad? You said you could blow on him.
President Snow just accidentally shit himself.
After you blew on him? Okay, here
President
is my...
Snow eats dinner for $2 less at Denny's.
You done?
President Snow has life alert.
Okay. Can we, are we all enjoying this? Or
I'm done.
should we
I'm sorry.
go
I'm
back
done.
to the list?
Sorry, okay.
And my reasoning why I picked President
President
Snow.
Snow took all of our Social Security.
Oh, I thought if I pretend like I was going to talk, you jump
No,
in and
I
say
was
something funny.
really done that time. Sorry.
Life alert's funny, though. What about
President
Thanos?
Snow drinks warm milk. President Snow says, which channel is the Netflix?
I hate you so much. Okay.
Okay,
We are
sorry.
actually, I wish I could take the control away from you, but I
Okay,
physically
sorry.
can't.
Okay, go ahead, sorry.
Okay. Powerful
Old. Balls.
white man. Enemy. Everything. Okay. He's in charge of your food supply, your water supply, and your life supply, baby. Change your tune now?
I like the case you're making, and his villainship is most accurate to like our real world that we live in because our worlds are so segmented like this with class. I think there's a lot of things that a good villain make, and I know this is a little old school, but doesn't your villain have to know how to scrap a little bit? Like, do you think President Snow's got squabbles at all? You know what I mean? Because President Snow's scrap. Like, can you imagine him bobbing and weaving?
That's my villain laugh. How'd I do?
Okay. Right.
No, because he's so powerful, he doesn't have to fight you.
It's true.
What? Like, what are you even talking about?
I'm just saying Thanos was all powerful and he was still getting it out the mud, knocking niggas out. I'm saying something.
Who physically fought Thanos?
The Hulk, he fucked the Hulk up too. The Hulk was never the same.
He
gave the Hulk
physically fought him?
PTSD. Yeah, what? He got off on the Hulk, man.
Oh, whoa. Hey, listen, ScarJo got off on the Hulk too. Okay, listen.
Yes.
I'm giving my opinion.
Okay, sorry.
I think the thing that's creepy about President Snow from the Hunger Games, and this will be a recurring theme in my choices here, I find it supremely uncomfortable when someone can smile and lie to your face and you believe every fucking word they're saying. Are doing the exact opposite behind your back. scary man. He could be telling Katniss, yeah, let me cook, please. He could be telling Katniss, like, oh, yeah, I think you're doing a great job at the games and you're going to be cool. While he knows he's just like ordered a hit on your family and they're being murdered as we speak. Like, that is true, unpredictable villainous. Okay? Those are two. Do you have anything to say about that?
No, I like that you're cooking right now. Yeah, do your thing, please.
Okay, so we've got, you're really going to hate this one. He's really going to hate this one. Principal Trunchbull from Matilda. You like that movie. I know you like that movie.
I fucks with this pick, Sarah.
Yay!
You're kind of cooking right now. You're kind of cooking. You're kind of glowing. You have like the pregnant glow.
This is a good time to tell you all, our swimmers. That was weird, swimmers. Trunchbull from Matilda. Who else has seen this movie? This bitch is fucking mean. She can scrap and she has power. This is why she's my number 8 and not my number 9 like President Snow.
And shout out to Matilda, because there's a couple villains in Matilda's movie. And she survived a failing public school system with way too many classmates to a class. A decent teacher, but the school district was terrible. The principal was terrible. Then went home to a rotten car salesman out of a dad and a mom that wanted her gone all the time. She survived what every disenfranchised minority child has survived in America. And for that, Matilda to us will always be Mexican.
You're our hero, Matilda. Okay, so those are my top 3 runners-up, bottom 3 runners-up. So let's go into Asaad's runners-up, and then I'll give you my next 2.
Oh, yeah, thank you. My runner-up for number 7 is Tyler Durden from Fight Club.
Ooh, gosh darn it, that's a good one.
Yeah.
There's going to be so many movies here that I didn't think of.
Yeah. I didn't really join the craze in this movie. I started appreciating it really late, because where I was at, it was like a bunch of punk kids that loved this movie. I was like, oh, it's a little too aggro for me. But appreciating it now that I got older, really appreciated this film. And you could argue if he's a villain or not, because he's the same person. Spoiler alert, if you've never seen Fight Club.
Whoa.
But I thought it was really cool the way they portrayed a more not give a fuck version of the main character. And it's all kind of the person we want to be, except for our morals don't let us. Which I think the most villainous person that you can encounter is the worst version of yourself, you know? I shouldn't say worse, but, the alternate version of yourself. And really loved how, other than that, is the element of surprise, too, Greatest trick the devil ever pulled is convincing people doesn't exist, right, Sarah? So Tyler Durden had the element of surprise, It's like the devil you know.
So I would argue, great pick.
Thank you.
I would argue that maybe he's not the villain, maybe he's the hero.
I think we're going to sense that theme in a lot of these. We were fed something when we were younger. Now that we know the world a little bit more, now that we go to a little bit more therapy, now that we have access to more Prozac and antidepressants. Am I speaking about myself?
Yeah, I don't have any villains on here that are potentially the hero.
Really?
At all.
Oh, okay. All right,
At
we'll
all.
see. Well, someone doesn't have Carol Baskin on their list.
That bitch, Carol Baskin.
That bitch.
What's that from?
Tiger King.
That's just from the documentary. That's
Yes,
hilarious.
and he went to jail just because he wouldn't leave that lady alone. He had a lot of things to go to jail for, but it ended up because he couldn't squash the beef with Carol.
He's the villain, not him. She antagonized him. Okay, great. So we've got your runner-up.
Yes.
My number 7 is Patrick Bateman from American Psycho. Now, this is as classic as I get with films pretty much in general, and horror films specifically. But I do remember seeing this movie and being like, oh, I mean, Christian Bale can do no wrong, I don't think, in my brain. I can't think of a single film he's starred in that I didn't love, or didn't love him in anyways. He plays every woman's everyday life on Hinge. Just like this worst man who's just like, I'm so cool. I went to college. I did this. I did that. Ew, you're dirty. You're gross. It's just like, this is Dating in LA is American Psycho.
Only saw it once, don't remember anything about it. For how big of a Christian Bale fan I am, I don't remember much about it. It's like one of the biggest things I've missed in being a fan of Christian Bale. Yeah, didn't really like it. I didn't really, gave me bad vibes.
Well, it's an extreme, like, white supremacist, like, or white privilege, I should say, not white supremacist, but white privilege, single white female, but as a male. Just totally privileged, taking what he wants, doing what he wants, thinking he's smarter than everybody. He's a very creepy, very stoic villain, and that is my number 7 for runner-up.
Okay, all right. Speaking of white privilege, we're too hard on white people on this podcast. True. We love a white, guys. We just joke around a lot. Speaking of a white privileged villain, my runner-up is the cast of Friends. I think these 6.
No, go on. That's not really this is what? That's not real.
It is.
That's not real.
You don't. It is.
I won't accept that. No, I won't accept that.
That doesn't count?
Come on, man. Movie villains, not television.
All right, fine. If that's disqualified.
Okay, he'll come up with another one.
My number 6, and I don't want to be hyperbolic here, but I don't know if I was creeped out more by anything else when I was a young kid, and I'm talking like 7, 8, than the Chucky doll.
Oh.
And it really creeped me out.
Really?
Sarah.
Is that true?
Yeah, and I'm thinking about it as a kid, as effective as Toy Story is, thinking your toys can come to life, it's as scary as well, and being alone with a doll, like it made me look at my toys a little bit differently, and it almost made me grow up quick because I couldn't play with toys as much anymore, because it made the innocence and happiness of a toy that was smiling look sinister to me. That's how effective this movie was for me. And just like the red hair and the freckles and the overalls, like if you just took it away and just saw it on a toy like shelf, it would look like a cute doll, but the movie was so effective because it was a demented soul that had possessed a toy's body, a good guy doll's body, and it really fucking creeped me out when I was younger, Sarah.
Tell me, I've never seen this movie.
Okay, yeah, no worries. It's called Child's Play. There's a couple of them, and it got kind of messy towards the end. But
is it a good movie or?
No.
Okay.
It's like if you missed it, you missed it.
Okay,
if you didn't ride the wave
fair.
when it was first around, then you would probably not even like it now. But in all of the things, he's a murderer, by the way. Starts off with being a murderer who's running from the police, breaks into a toy store, then does like a ceremony to get his soul into this. Yeah.
That's the plot line of Chucky?
Yeah, crazy, right? Yeah.
I had no idea. I just thought I had no idea. I don't know.
He puts his hands on Chucky's, the doll, and he's like, just says something.
Chucky's what?
I know, on his forehead. And what's kind of funny, I don't know, and guys forgive me because I don't know the plot very well. Chucky has to try to get out of this doll body, so he's trying to befriend this real life boy so he can do the summon on him and get his spirit into him. It's a creepy fucking movie.
That's
especially
cool.
Especially when you turn a kid's toy against him, The only reason he's not higher and he's an honorable mention is, nigga, you're 2 feet tall. I could just kick you.
Clearly not, because the kid didn't do that, right?
There's a couple things of like the tough action scenes. It's tough when a full-grown adult is like grabbing a doll, Tough to make that look like a competitive fight scene, but still spooky nonetheless.
Okay. All right. That's a good one. I, again, haven't seen that one, but my first runner-up, before we get to the real list, is Terrence Fletcher.
Who is this? I don't know who this is.
J.K. Simmons.
Oh, in what?
Any guesses?
Is it Whiplash?
Yes!
Holy shit, this is a good pick,
Is
Sarah.
he not the fucking biggest villain? He takes everything that you're insecure about. He preys on people's mental health, which I think, and again, you'll see as a theme here, is way worse than, actually, like, he finds the thing that you're most insecure about, and he preys on it, and he does it so well, and there's absolutely no reason to do it. He claims he's doing it to make people brilliant, which you know, maybe there's an argument for that. Holy guacamole. This guy is bad. Have you seen Whiplash, Asaad?
It's one of, and maybe we'll have a pod about this, but I have this section of movies that I call a perfect movie.
Oh.
Not that they're the best movies ever made, but they're just like a perfect movie, like Chef.
Oh.
I think there's just like a perfect 2 hours, you know? Sarah, this is a great pick. I'm jealous of your pick. It's a great pick. I think, it's a real pick. Like, it's like you say, it's not a serial killer out on the loose. It's like someone you could have encountered. I have friends that have been like, yeah, I had a music teacher that was similar to this, you know? And similar to your Tyler Durden thing, the end of Whiplash, Miles Teller becomes a really once in a generation type of drummer because of what Terrence Fletcher did to him.
But is it worth it?
You know what? I will not take over this pod, but it's one of my favorite topics to discuss. Is like, have we been coddling artists? And great art comes from great pain and great strife. And I think when we elevate as humans and we are better to each other, we might lose a specific type of art and dedication and craft. You know, that's why I love Whiplash so much, because I can talk about that a lot. I think it's really interesting.
Todd is, he's really stressed. He works really, really hard and pushes himself really hard, and I like to have fun and just relax.
But it's not because
it's a good conversation, right?
Yeah.
Like,
but I don't work because I'm like wildly insecure and I'm afraid nobody will love me and I'm utter failure and I stay up at night because of it and have no one to call and maybe cry in the shower every once in a while.
Switch it back to me. Switch it back to me. Switch it back to me. Switch it back to me.
Hi.
Anyways, moving on to our next topic. No, but I think that kind of like mental, I don't know if this is the word, degradation. Is that a word?
Yeah.
The word? I know it's a word. Is far creepier and scarier and more realistic than some guy wearing a mask holding a knife who's gonna, like, you know, hide in my closet and stab me. Like, this is more the villain that I fear and that I see in real life.
Great pick, Sarah.
So, do you have a runner-up?
No, I'm at 5 now.
Okay, we're
Chucky
at
was
5.
my runner-up, and you already named it. It was Thanos. So thank you for
Tell me
doing
why
that.
you think.
I think this is the best case for a villain that we've agreed with a lot. You know, I think Killmonger's up there. I don't know if he's on your list. He didn't make mine or honorable mentions. But Killmonger and Thanos are really close, and Marvel was really humming when they did these two villains. It's like, damn, man, they're tough, they're beating up, they're killing people, but they're actually making compelling arguments as they're doing it. And those are the tough ones where I'm like, ooh, this guy is so close to the protagonist. You know, can I give you some Thanos quotes?
Please.
I like really well how it's written. So when they go to this planet, I don't know if it's nowhere or another planet, but they have the couple people from the Guardians. They have Iron Man, Spider-Man, Mantis, Star-Lord, and they coordinate this attack, you know, when he first gets there. And all of them do an attack, and it looks phenomenal. And he looks at them, and he's just like, all that for a drop of blood. And then he proceeds to grab a planet out of the sky and throws the planet at somebody. Sarah, you've been mad at me a lot. You've never thrown a planet at me.
Why have I tried?
I just think he's really well written, especially for a comic book villain. Really well written, and his like plight is you actually kind of align with it. He has to kill his daughter, and then
Well,
what?
she wasn't that great.
I don't think that's how dads think about it, Sarah. Yeah, I don't want to keep on Thanos because you covered it, but yeah, Thanos is my number 5.
No, it's interesting because I think of, and I'm not the person it's not my role in this podcast to shit on your picks or to be the curmudgeon because that role's already taken by. But that being said, great switching. That being said, I will say the choice of Marvel to make him look the way that he did with the CGI being so bad just made it hokey and quirky and cartoony, and I thought it fucking sucked.
I thought it was that I just like vehemently disagree in because there's nothing scarier than a ball sack for a chin.
I was like, you really disagree with that? I really believed you for a second. I was like, what's happening? Okay, my number 5. Again, my number 5.
Yeah, cook.
The Wicked Witch of the West.
Oh, cool. I don't know much about her.
So, this bitch is scary.
Okay.
All right? She looks scary, she sounds scary, and she is scary. Let me paint you a picture.
Please.
This girl comes down from Kansas in a tornado. She steals, by magic, they appear on her foot. She didn't steal them. This dead woman's really pretty shoes, her Louboutins. And the Wicked Witch comes and she's like, bitch, my sister's dead. Those are my Louboutins. She left them to me in the will. And Dorothy's like, maybe they're mine now because they're on my feet. And, possession is 9/10 of the law. The Wicked Witch then proceeds to follow Dorothy and her newfound friends and hunt them down one by one, again, preying on their weaknesses to exterminate them so she can get this pair of shoes. Now, they are pretty shoes, but it's kind of crazy. She burns the Scarecrow, who's made of hay. She burns him alive. Did you know this, Asaad?
I'm not sure I knew this.
I mean, she burns him and he doesn't die. In the movie, they put him out. But, she sets him on fire. She scares the Cowardly Lion. So, she's preying on everyone's weaknesses. She sends rain to rust the Tin Man. This is all crazy stuff. And then, when she can't win, she puts opium on them.
Dang, like that?
Puts opium on them, and they have to take cocaine to wake up. Which we've all had to do once or twice.
That's the excuse they used? Dorothy's
Everyone's
like, it's just a really
woken
tough
up.
month.
I'm just a little sleepy. It's just a little bump to get me through. I will say a fun story, maybe, for our viewers and friends. The Wizard of Oz is my favorite movie of all time since I was 4 years old. I classically wore out the VHS tape. Yes, I'm dating myself. You're welcome. Wore it out, and my parents had to buy a new VHS because I watched it so many times. Recently been through therapy, and we talked it out. We figured out why I did that, so we're okay now. It's fine. Everything's fine. But Asaad, in my older years, way later than 4, when I started watching this movie, he was like, oh, so they went through the poppy field, and that would make them sleep. And I was like, uh-huh. And he's like, poppies. And I'm like, uh-huh. And he's like, but poppies, they make opium from that. And I was like, oh, it's a drug reference. And then Glinda makes it snow and they wake up. So he ruined my childhood. I mean, guys, can we all agree that he's ruined my, have you ever had something that you were like, oh, this is such a wonderful thing, and then someone just shits all over it?
My childhood.
Now my childhood. Thanks so much for making me join your club.
I'm sorry. Now that I think about it, I should have kept my mouth shut. That was one of those things where I'm like, I just should have shut up about it.
Yeah, you ruined it. You ruined it for
sorry.
me. But that's okay. I'm forever changed, and The Wicked Witch of the West is my number 5. What's your number 5, Asaad?
5 was Thanos. I'm one ahead of you.
Ah, shit.
My number 4.
That's a dumb number 5.
Is
What's your number 4?
Scar from The Lion King.
Okay.
I think, listen, if nothing else, Jeremy Irons' voice is phenomenal. I think a lot of the time, and we don't talk a lot about voice acting, I think a lot of the time people sleep on his performance because James Earl Jones is Mufasa. And that's one of the best voice actors ever and the most recognizable, But
I have to tell you.
Go ahead.
Scar is also
Ooh,
on
what number do we have?
He's number 3 for me, so we were close.
We're close.
But
We're
go ahead,
close.
continue with your explanation as to why he's on your list.
Yeah, I think usually when your motivation is jealousy, you don't get that good of a villain.
Oh.
Usually someone around them turns them around. It's not really the deep-seated nature that really drives you crazy. But Scar was a hating ass nigga, bro. He just wanted a kingdom for himself. He was kind of getting a little too friendly with Mufasa's wife, low key. And then like we've discussed on the pod before, the sickest part is when he kills Simba's dad, tells Simba it's his fault, tells him to run away, then tells the hyenas to go kill Simba.
Eat him alive.
And then to eat him alive, and he literally gaslit Simba for no reason. He said, your dad's dead because of you. Now go. And I thought, okay, that makes sense. But if he was just going to kill the Simba anyways, why gaslight the kid to make him believe he killed his dad? You got to be a different type of sandwich, boy.
A different type of sandwich.
Yeah, Scar
I've
was
never-
a different type of sandwich for sure.
I've never heard that phrase. That's hilarious. This is like a ham instead of turkey?
I don't know. He's
Like, what
different.
kind of sandwich are we talking about?
And the thing is, it's like the reason why he's not higher, and he should be number one, I think.
Oh, yeah,
but
he's
Scar,
diabolical.
you gotta keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Those hyenas turned on you, fam. That ended up being your demise. That means you didn't rule hard enough. Like, you didn't put enough fear into those hyenas. I can't believe you let them turn on you. Like, you're fucking up, man.
Did they turn on him? Is that what
They
happened?
ate him.
Stop.
Yeah, those hyenas.
Because they were hungry, and he
Yeah.
he was promising he was going to feed him, and then he never fed him, so
Yeah.
they ate him.
And that, people get the hyenas fucked up just because I'm gonna laugh. Doesn't mean I'm gonna eat you, bro. I laugh a lot too. What's your 4?
Crazy. My number 4. So that was my 3. So we're on the
Okay.
same page there. Lord, he shall not be named.
Okay. Does he
You
have a
know what I'm
nose?
talking about?
Does he have a nose?
No nose. No nose to be found. Good. Yes. Looks just like that. Just like that.
I think Malfoy's worse. Potter.
What are you doing, Potter?
Potter.
So, Lord Voldemort, who shall not be named, powerful, mean, no nose. What more do you need from a villain? No, but he uses all of the forces of evil to torture and kill everyone who's not on his side. He has a huge army of followers who are out just doing his bidding because they're afraid of him. And he just wants to take over the wizarding world. And he's such a big power. So I feel like he is the worst because also he has 2 words, Death Eaters.
Ooh.
That's a scary ass fucking army to have.
The Dementors.
The Dementors, they come and eat you. A little office joke. Right? Yeah, so Voldemort is my number 4. Do you have him on your list?
I don't have him on my list. But this is a recurring theme, similar to Scar. Your past comes back, man. Like he gave Harry Potter that scar, right?
He's on some old shit. Yeah, he gave him that scar because he tried to kill him when he was a baby. And now he's got this huge vendetta against this baby just because the baby was more powerful. So he's just like all in on killing this kid.
Very similar to Scar, man. Trying to kill little kids. Y'all gotta chill, bro. That's pretty villainous stuff. My number, well, we're on 3, right?
4, right?
I'm on 3. I'm 1 ahead of you. That was your 4, right? So this guy's probably number 1, but I don't love the franchise as much. And I think he's on yours, Darth Vader.
He's not on mine, but I did think about him a lot.
Yeah.
I've seen these movies, but only once per film and only when they came out. Well, save for the early ones, which I saw when I was a kid. So I did see it, but as an adult, I didn't feel like he was a big, bad, scary villain. So please explain to me why he made
Yeah, and I think you feel that way, not to put thoughts in your head, but Star Wars doesn't have a lot of gravity in it, you know? That's not a joke, but like Star Wars isn't that serious, you know? They're fighting with lights. So, but you know me, I'm a big fan of helmets in films. Sarah will tell you this. I've decorated a room or 2 with helmets in films. I love like the Rocketeer, Iron Man, Gladiators, and Darth Vader's the best helmet in film.
May I, for a moment, for someone so good looking, why would you want to cover that face?
Oh, you've known me for a long time. You still think I'm good looking. I've actually aged out of good looks. I'm not just the old weird black guy at the bus stop that plays with something in his pockets.
Are you black?
You want a Werther's, young girl?
I thought you were Asian.
Yeah, a combination of great outfit, great helmet, and then great voice. With a great turn, you know, ends up being someone's dad, you know, ends up being Luke's dad. I think out of all of I think me and you are similar to where we're like, what's the big deal about Star Wars? Out of all of that, you know, that specific character is so damn good, man. Just looks amazing. We've never seen something dressed like that before, helmet-wise, talking like that. Yeah, and I think it's definitely the most iconic villain of all time. Who actually doesn't end up being a villain at the end, depending on how you define it. You know, he kind of helps Luke.
Yeah, I think, not to disagree with your answer, I just think I was like never really scared in the moment when Darth Vader would enter. However, when I ride the new ride at Disneyland and Kylo Ren blows the fucking wall out and you shoot back, like, go see that. If you
I
haven't.
genuinely loved you for a long time. You ever compare Kylo Ren to Darth Vader again? This is done.
That was Kylo Ren who did it, though. I wanted to be accurate. Am I correct?
It is, but why are
Okay.
you comparing him to Darth?
Well, I'm just saying that genre in general. I'm not so scared when Darth Vader enters a room, but the only time I have been scared in the Star Wars sense is when Kylo Ren blew the spaceship out on a ride. And also, I truly do not care for the actor who played Kylo Ren. So
You hate Adam Driver so bad.
okay, so I'm on number 3, which is Scar. So we've already been there.
Okay. Great.
My thoughts on Scar were very similar to yours, so that's a good one for our top 5. As we've talked about on this podcast before, the kind of like really evil you have to be to just want someone to feel really bad before they die is wild to me. Like, he kills his own brother, which, you know, I could kill my brother. I got 2 of them, you know, depending on the day. So that's, you know, we've all been there. We understand it. But Simba is supposed to be a newborn cub, which I was looking up in research. I was like, he kills his newborn nephew, which is wild. And then tells him, oh, by the way, you are responsible for your father's death, but you're good. Go ahead. Go play, little guy. And then sends his hyenas to go fucking kill him. It's nuts.
You know who does that?
Who?
A different type of sandwich.
Different kind of Reuben. A Reuben on rye. Okay, so I guess we go to your number 2, or do I go to my number?
Yeah. Oh, well, it depends. What do you want to do?
No, I just went technically with my number 3. You go.
Now, here's the thing. I think
I'm excited.
we might match here on the number 1.
No. Oh, yes, maybe.
I think so. My number 2, as much as it pains me to say,
What if it's my number 2?
because he's our GOAT. No, I know it's not yours. It's Detective Alonzo Harris, Denzel Washington in Training Day. Listen, I don't know what Denzel Washington meant to you, but in the black community, this guy was like a beacon, you know? He could do no wrong. He was good looking, acted well. He's one of the best actors we'd ever seen. And
Exceptional.
in my experience, especially in the black community, but like having him turn heel in a movie kind of broke your heart a little bit. Like, you were worried about it because he's always been for us. He's been a good cop for 30 films in a row, you know? And having him turn heel and be this good at it was something that we're like, oh, first of all, I didn't want him to be bad. And now that I see the movie, I'm like, maybe we've been missing out on him playing villainous parts for the last 5 years because he was so good at it. He had this thing, and I think people of our pods that follow our pod know that I'm like, if you're going to portray someone from the street, get someone that's from the street to do it.
Yeah.
Denzel nailed this. Wasn't over trying with the vernacular, dropping R's and trying to say slang or whatever, but it felt so natural that he was from those streets.
I think that's so important, right? Because
So
you
important.
can really tell. It's like having someone, for an example, for a white person who might not understand, it would be like someone, you know, who's not from your town coming and trying to be like, yeah, I'm from your town.
Yeah.
You know, you're just like, I can spot this actor is not saying that word right. He's not doing this right. His mannerisms aren't right. And so you can see, oh, this is an actor from fucking Juilliard trying to portray like this person who's grown up on the streets.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just, I don't know, Denzel did it with such confidence. And it was so surprising to see him in that and to have him deliver like that is like, I think that's probably, I know we listed our favorite Denzel roles, but that one was probably the most powerful one. So Detective Alonzo Harris from Training Day, R.I.P., because he died at the end, spoiler alert.
I'm going to be honest. I think I've seen this movie, but I'm not 100% certain I've actually seen it.
Okay.
I know.
All right.
I know.
You've lived in L.A. long enough that you probably lived the movie, to be honest with you.
I know. I should watch it again.
Yeah.
Period. Bottom line.
Great performance from him.
But that's a great choice, and it's going to go in our mix for our top 5.
For sure.
My number 2. This is a good one. I think you're going to like it.
Mm-hmm.
Hans Landa from Inglourious Bastards.
Sarah, do you know I haven't seen this movie?
Oh, I really like this one randomly.
It's so strange. It doesn't seem like a movie you would like. I got to watch it to see what you see in it because it seems like it wouldn't be your bag.
In fairness, I haven't revisited. I don't really generally watch movies twice. And you know how we kind of have that thing, again, where you're like, oh, I've seen this movie back in the day and it was really, really nostalgic and I liked it. So I liked it when I saw it the one time in theaters, but I really thought it was good. And it's actually kind of a rewatchable. Like, if you find it, you can kind of rewatch it and it's good, I think.
And then sometimes, that's a good point you bring up, sometimes I like to just keep my memory there. It was like, I knew
Fair.
I liked it, I don't want to revisit it and kind of threaten it, you know what I mean?
Fair. So, Inglourious Bastards. I really think if you watch this, you would totally agree. This guy is so good, and I'll look up his name. But he's so unpredictable. So you think he's a Nazi, he's a bad guy, he's a Nazi, that's it. But it turns out he's for him. Meaning, if I'm Sarah Stouffer, I'm only looking out for Sarah Stouffer, which is I think the most scary thing about a villain are there's 2 things, which is they're unpredictable, right? If they're predictable, you can know what they're going to go after, what they're going to hate, blah, blah, blah. But when they're unpredictable, ooh, you never know what they're going to do. And then the other thing is, I feel like the scariest thing about a villain could be that they can lie so easily to your face. You know, like, and I guess that leans into the unpredictable thing, but it's like, you don't really, you know, they're just like, oh, hi, yeah, I'm totally normal. Like, you don't know. Like, if a villain, the Wicked Witch of the West comes up to you, you're like, oh, I can see you. You look scary. You're doing a whole, like, Wicked Witch of the West thing. You're screaming at me. You're throwing threats. But it's the people who are like, oh, hi, I'm your best friend, that are the scariest. Do you agree? I feel like that's the scariest thing.
Yes, the ones that are inherently conniving and charming, you know, like they have to get people to believe them first, you know, because either they can trick them or lead a cult, you know, so I'm with you.
Yeah,
100%.
and so it turns out, so in this film, the main bad guy, he's like very smart, he's very charming. So anyone who met him would be like, oh, you're not a bad guy. Why are you a bad guy? You're smart. You speak 4 languages. Like, he speaks French. He speaks German. He speaks English. I almost said American. I swear to God, I almost did. He speaks English. Like, he speaks all these different languages. He's intelligent. He's smart. He's charming. When he comes into the house, he's like, oh, hello. Oh, yes, I would love a cup of tea. And then he, like, tells his soldiers to, like, shoot through the basement floors with their machine guns to make sure there's no Jews hiding in the basement. Like, you're just like, oh, we're just having tea with this nice guy, and then boom, unpredictable. That's the thing that really makes a villain for me, when they're smiling at your face and you don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, there's a cool part where like you think they can be a normal person, and that's what freaks you out. It's like, oh, they're smart enough to know how normal people work, and they're not concerned with being one. I think I'm gonna sidetrack us just a little bit because it's similar. When I was watching the first part of Killing Eve, and the most effective writing is like, how do I introduce this character in a great way so people know what they're in for, you know?
Cool.
Killing Eve sitting in this restaurant, and this cute girl looks across from her and smiling at her, and it would melt any person's heart. And Killing Eve, lady.
Jodie Comer?
Jodie Comer, yeah, looks back at her and smiles. I'm like, oh, cool, our villain like has a heart. And she gets up and walks and tips over the ice cream on the little girl, you know? It's like, damn. You know, it's that same thing you're talking about where it's like, oh, they understand how normal people would react, and they have no interest in doing it, you know?
That's a really great way of putting it. Yeah. So that was my number 2. I'm surprised you haven't seen this movie. I guess I'm not surprised, but there was something about this movie. I know it's a little divisive. Some people liked it, some people didn't, but I really dug this film, and it turns out, you know, if you don't stand for something, Brad Pitt will carve a swastika in your forehead.
That's the age-old term.
As they say.
Yeah. I have seen pieces of it, but I don't love a Nazi Jew story movie. It's tough for me.
Racist.
I know. I know we love Jojo
I know.
Rabbit, but that's the only one that we kind of like. But yeah, Nazi Jew story is always a little tough for me.
Ooh,
you know?
we should watch Inglourious Bastards. I think you might.
Okay.
Like it. Just because I
seen
like
pieces of it, but I haven't seen it.
All right, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is a paragraph that's going to take me 25 seconds to read you. You ready?
I'm ready.
I was sheriff of this county when I was 25 years old. Hard to believe. My grandfather was a lawman, father too. Me and him was sheriffs at the same time, him up in Plano and me out here. I think he's pretty proud of that. I know I was. Some of the old-time sheriffs never even wore a gun. A lot of folks find that hard to believe. Jim Scarrow never carried one. That's the younger Jim. Gas and Boykins wouldn't wear one up in Comanche County. I always like to hear about the old-timers. Never missed a chance to do so. You can't help but compare yourself against the old-timers. Can't help but wonder how they would have operated these times. There was this boy I sent to the electric chair at Huntsville Hill here a while back. My arrest and my testimony. He killed a 14-year-old girl. Paper said it was a crime of passion, but he told me there was no passion to it. Told me that he'd been planning to kill somebody for about as long as he could remember. Said that if they turned him out, he'd do it again. Said he knew he was going to hell. Be there in about 15 minutes. I don't know what to make of that. I sure don't. The crime you see now, it's hard to even take its measure. It's not that I'm afraid of it. I always knew you had to be willing to die to even do this job. But I don't want to push my chips forward and go out and meet something I don't understand. A man would have to put his soul at hazard. He'd have to say, okay, I'll be a part of this world. That's how you start a fucking film. Did any of this do anything for you?
I liked your accent.
Yeah, I was trying to do it in Tommy Lee Jones' accent. You don't dig it, though.
Oh, is that No Country for Old Men?
It is. Yeah. And the person I'm talking about in the crime is Anton Chigurh. Yeah, played by Javier
And that's your number 2?
Bardem. That's my number 1. I'm on number 1. You've been behind me the whole time, the whole show.
Story of my life.
Yeah. I think that's the perfect way to introduce this. Now, it introduces Tommy Lee Jones' character and introduces his character as well. So Tommy Lee Jones has one crime his whole life that he doesn't understand.
Can you give us that again and in a British accent? And
I know it took forever, but it's so good. It's how the movie starts, and and you know it's one of my favorite movies ever. And it's so cool. It's like you get to know Tommy Lee Jones, you get to know his deal, and the one time he's experienced such a criminal and like inhuman crime, he can't even compare to this new one. And you're about to witness the story of this guy that does it. And Javier Bardem storms on this movie scene. And within 2 minutes of playing this killer, the first time he kills someone, mind you, I don't like death on film. I just don't. I'm kind of a sissy about it.
Do you like it in real life?
Yeah, much better in real life.
Okay. Yeah, you're a fan of death in real life, but not in film.
And I'll take one scarier for you. When you're like the person that understands humans that can do it, and then they're just like don't relate to them. I do one scarier. Javier Bardem doesn't even care to play a human.
Yeah.
And he actually is so villainous that he flips coins to decide, no Two-Face, if he should kill this random guy in a store because his life has no meaning. And he knows that's how trivial this guy's life is that a coin should decide it.
Damn.
Creepy shit. I love the outfit. Love they gave him like bangs and a weird haircut. And love how stoic he is all of the time. And to me, when I saw this movie, which I think doesn't have music in it, if you guys watch No Country for Old Men, I don't think it has any music in it at all.
Is that possible?
I think maybe there's like some sound ups and a couple cues, but there's no actual music. It's a very still and very silent film.
I'm too scared to rewatch it.
Yeah, but there's a couple of moments where like he's just not affected by the kills that he's making. You know, he ends up, because everyone dies in the movie, killing the wife that he doesn't have to, only because he told the dead guy that he would eventually. You know. It's some sinister stuff, and usually that on paper is just like a bro writing that, being like, it'd be cool if someone was really evil. But between the directing of the Coen brothers and the acting of Javier Bardem, that's one of the creepiest, one of the most like stone cold characters I've ever seen on film. He gets my number 1. I hope to never meet him in real life. Do you ever have that when someone plays the role so well that they creep you out even when they're not in the movie anymore?
Yes, and Javier Bardem has played like 3 or 4 really classic, iconic, because I think he was in one of the Bond movies.
Yeah.
And then obviously Pirates of the Caribbean. And I think he plays a villain so well.
Good. So good. His voice is so cool. He can do a couple accents.
Bro.
Yeah, this is just sensational work by him.
I will say, I've only seen this movie once. This
Okay.
is one of your favorite films of all time.
Yes.
Another close friend of mine, favorite film of all time. And I do not care for this film.
Yeah.
He was also my number one.
No kidding.
He's so creepy. He walks around with this, I don't know what they call it, but I thought it was like an air compressor, like a nail gun kind of a thing. But I guess it's the way you kill cattle.
Yeah.
And he just holds it and walks around and he's like, hey, flip a coin, bro. Like, literally, like, he'll go to a restaurant and be like, hey, can I get a double Big Mac with a quarter pounder and fries? And I don't go to McDonald's. And then, he's like, yeah. And he's like, here, flip this coin, heads or tails. And they say, heads. And he says, for no reason. And he kills people like cattle, like they're animals. Like, he does not. No, I do not kill people or animals. But he kills people like they just don't mean anything, and it's just simply a flip of a coin. He has very little emotion, and this guy is scary. Like, I will say, of all of the people I put on my list, I was really trying to feel like, Sarah, when are you scared for someone to enter the screen, right? Like, if you're watching a film, when do you feel like, oh shit? And I thought of It Follows. I thought of all of the horror films I've seen, which is probably like 5 or 6. And I was like, this guy, to this day, really creeps me out. Anytime I see an air compressor, anytime I see, and I've seen it one time 20 years ago. Like, this guy is scary. The way that he moves through the world is scary. It was written very well. It was played extremely well by Javier Bardem, and he is also my number one. So, great pick.
The thing about not, a lot of villains will kill somebody and then they'll laugh and like, ha ha ha, like because they're sinister. Javier Bardem's character in that, you really get the feeling that he doesn't care.
Detached.
It's not like he saved that guy's life at the convenience store. That he's like, I'll let you live. It's just like he doesn't care.
Okay.
The act of letting someone live and killing the person were the exact same to him.
Doesn't matter.
And that's spooky as fuck. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the thing where that kind of like stoic manner makes the better villain.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so now we got to go to our top 5.
I don't think we need a top 5, but if you think so.
I've got one.
Let's do it. Okay.
Okay, I don't have the whiteboard, but I've compiled one on my computer.
Okay.
So from both of our lists, here's my go, and tell me what you think.
Okay.
They're not in order.
Okay.
I've got Scar, because they was on both of our lists.
Yes.
Anton Chigurh, which is on both of our lists.
Yeah.
I think he's number one.
He's got to be one.
For sure. So Anton Chigurh from No Country for Old Men, number 1. Number 2, Scar, because they were on both of our lists.
Yes.
I'm going to go with Terrence Fletcher from Whiplash as number 3. What do you think?
Good call.
Really scary shit. Like, he's not going to murder your family, but he'll
ruin your life.
He'll ruin your brain, and you'll never stop thinking about how shit of a person you are because of what this guy's done to you.
Yes.
I'm going to go number 4, Detective Alonzo, and number 5, Thanos. Do you like that order?
What about Scar?
Scar is number 2.
Oh.
Anton Chigurh. Scar.
Detective Fletcher, sorry.
Fletcher.
Detective Alonzo,
then Thanos.
I think we switched Thanos and Detective Alonzo, actually, now that I think about it.
So Thanos is worse than Detective Alonzo because Thanos has more of a, like, I'm going to burn the world.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. I like it. I think we did it. So as a recap, we've got number 1, No Country for Old Men, Anton Chigurh. Number 2, Scar from The Lion King. Number 3,
Fletcher.
Detective Alonzo?
No, Fletcher, Thanos, Alonzo.
Fletcher, Alonzo, and then Thanos. Or backwards. Anyways,
Fletcher, Thanos, Alonzo. Yeah.
those are our top 5.
Guys, thank you for watching the DTF podcast again. Become a member through YouTube memberships, Patreon. You get all of our episodes for free. You get your own emojis. Yes, I made Brie Larson as an emoji. Sarah has her own emoji as well. She has her own emoji and she has Matt Damon, so we made her happy. You get access to all of our videos up to 30 days early. Emojis, super stickers, super chats, and that's across the board for all Last Second See. We really appreciate you guys. We just launched it last month, and people have been joining, and it's allowed us to create more and hopefully give you guys better shows and more often shows. And again, before Sarah signs off, we want to warn you about what we'll be releasing. Maybe we'll use this, maybe we won't, Sarah, because who knows when we'll release this pod. But we do plan to watch The Bear. We'll probably take it in 2 or 3 episodes. Watch it along with us if you'd like, so you can stay up to date with us. The other things coming up are on October 20th, we have Killers of the Flower Moon. We're both really excited about that. That we'll promise to see in theaters. And then November 10th, we have the Captain Marvels. To give you a little bit of an idea, if you guys want to be in the know when we drop the pods. Anything else, Sarah?
Yeah, I was just going to say, more importantly than, getting the super stickers and all the Brie Larson and all the fun stuff, like, it helps support us and, so we don't have to come out of pocket for all of this production that we're so very happy and lucky to have.
Yeah, and sorry, go ahead.
No, please, no.
No, I was gonna say like, share, subscribe culture has been so ugh. But it genuinely means a lot to us who are like, all your comments. We start seeing more of the regular people and the same people. T Rose, thank you. Corshal, thank you. That pop in our chats and have become members. Some people are on YouTube members and Patreons, and genuinely, it's hard to earn $1 nowadays, and we appreciate your hard-earned money to support us. It means a lot to us. Thank you.
Truly. So thank you guys so much, and come back. We're going to talk about The Bear. We're going to go all the way back to season 1 and season 2, watch all the episodes, and hopefully you guys can join us. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.